Your mom uses it, your dad uses it, your uncle uses it, I use it, your mom uses it, your uncle uses, your grandmom, the fish use it, the bees use it, everyone uses it. What is it called? It's called caffeine. Caffeine is a natural repellent found in plants to repel away insects. In areas where they are mountains are in high altitudes, where there are less insects, caffeine levels are very low. In areas where low altitude but a lot of insects, caffeine levels are very high. At the same time, caffeine is a way to attract pollinators. Bees like this caffeine. They get this head rush. Okay, in this video, I will teach you how does caffeine work, what does it do, how to use it, and how to quit a caffeine addiction. Number one, how does caffeine work? So imagine a car and a parking spot. Okay, a parking spot. Okay, so this is a car parking spot, car parks, parking spot, happy. Okay, now in our brain we have receptors which are parking spots of neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters, hormones of the car as they move. Receptors are the parking spots. Now we have adenosine. Adenosine is a neurotransmitter that builds up in the brain as the day goes and increases sleep pressure. What makes you feel sleepy? You know that sleepy feeling. That's adenosine. That's adenosine acting on your receptors. Okay. Now, caffeine, adenosine. Notice how they have a similar suffix. Okay. Caffeine has a similar molecular structure to adenosine. Okay, which gives it the ability to bind to adenosine receptors. So this is adenosine parking to its receptor, making you tired. Now caffeine comes in and literally takes the place of adenosine, elbows it out. It's what is called as a competitive agonist. It pushes out adenosine from their receptors and it blocks the receptor. It doesn't make you sleepy. It literally just deactivates the receptor. Now, say you've been awake for 8 hours. Now your body's like, oh, I've been awake for 4 hours after having a cup of Americano. Now, once the caffeine has weared off, the adenosine builds up, bro. All the adenosine, they're waiting for this caffeine to get the hell out of here. Okay, they're waiting, and suddenly the caffeine wears off, and then all the adenosine that's been built up just parks into the parking spots and gives you this crash, the caffeine crash. Okay? One of adenosine's other functions is to increase blood flow through the brain. Now, the more caffeine you drink, the more often you drink caffeine, the more adenosine receptors your brain makes in order to counteract this caffeine blocking effect. As part of homeostasis, your brain's ability to remain in equilibrium. Okay? Your body likes to remain in equilibrium, homeostasis. Okay. Now, the constant blockage of adenosine receptors results in your body making more adenosine receptors, and you naturally will be more inclined to drink more caffeine to block those added new receptors. So more and more and more and more, and you get into this vicious cycle. The day you stop drinking coffee by the way, caffeine and coffee are not the same thing. Caffeine is just found in coffee. Caffeine is also found in yerba mate. It's also found in tea. So you take your caffeine for a long period of time, increasing the dose, increasing your tolerance, and suddenly you stop drinking, and then you get this insane headache as part of the withdrawal symptoms. Now, headaches are a result of increased blood flow through the brain. Adenosine's other function is to increase blood flow through the brain. That's why you have these migraine headaches after quitting caffeine. So after quitting caffeine, withdrawal effects, you feel fatigued. Why? All those new receptors, more adenosine is binding to the receptors, which amplifies the adenosine effect. Two other things caffeine does is it increases the amount of dopamine receptors. So dopamine is this pursuit of pleasure hormone. I want to eat that chocolate, okay. Dopamine rising. Suddenly, I eat the chocolate, dopamine goes down. I should make a video on dopamine. So dopamine is the pursuit of pleasure hormone. People think it's pleasure hormone, but it's not. It's pursuit of pleasure, motivation. Now, the addictive side of caffeine is that it amplifies dopamine effect. So a neurotransmitter or hormone in large amounts is useless. if it can't park into its receptors. So if there are more dopamine receptors, more dopamine is parking to its receptors, therefore making you more, more pleasure, more, what can I say, motivated, more feeling pleasurable, okay, as part of the amplifying effects that caffeine has on your dopamine system. Another thing caffeine has, which is part of the rush, that go, 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 is it liberates adrenaline from the adrenals, which sit above, right above your kidneys. It liberates the release of adrenaline, epinephrine, which makes you much more alert, activates your fight or flight system, your sympathetic nervous system. That's all to do about how caffeine works. Now, how do you use caffeine? Besides how caffeine works, the benefits of caffeine: increased motivation, increased alertness, increased pleasure. But there are also some negatives, and how do you offset the negative whilst maximizing the positives? Now, the dose and the timing makes a poison. Caffeine has a half-life of 6 hours. If I take 100 milligrams right now, it's 11 a.m. If I take 100 milligrams right now, 6 hours later at 7 p.m., 50 will remain in my system. Depending on my genetic predisposition and how fast I metabolize caffeine or how slow I metabolize caffeine or the activities I do, if I go on a run, if I go on a gym session, that caffeine will be cleared out faster. So it depends, but the average is 6 hours. Caffeine from person to person, half-life is 6 hours. And the dose also makes a poison, right? So if I take 500 right now, bro, 250 will be remaining at 7 p.m. And about 20 is good enough for you to sleep. But more than 20 milligrams in your system before bed will wreck your sleep. It fragments your sleep, okay? So my advice is to drink your caffeine as maximum, bro. Do as maximum as 13 hours before bed to cut off all the caffeine in your system, giving you time to metabolize it faster and clear it out before you sleep. How do you quit a caffeine addiction? So I was just addicted to caffeine, bro. I was drinking coffee so I was drinking a liter, no, not a liter, wait, 500 milliliters of coffee, bro, in the mornings where I feel so jittery and stuff. How do you quit a caffeine addiction? With any addiction, there's what is called progressively deload, where you use less of that substance. Okay, you do. Okay, in science, okay, when mothers are drug addicts, okay, and they give birth to a baby, that baby, because of the placenta is where materials are exchanged from the baby and the mother, so waste materials and nutrients. So say the mother was a heavy nicotine user, nicotine will be diffusing into the placenta and into the baby's blood. The baby also will get hooked onto nicotine for the same reasons why nicotine is addictive. When the baby is born, they'll be craving nicotine. Okay, how doctors get this baby off nicotine is to give it the same dose for a week, then lower it, then lower it, then lower it until it's 0 milligrams. Same with caffeine, you lower it, progressively deloading, lower it, until you rely on 0 milligrams and you basically relying on your own body's energy from the sleep you get and NSDR. Okay, so that's caffeine in its entirety, and I will update you with my detox. I'm drinking coffee 3 times a week. I used to do it every day a week. I'm trying to get to 2 times a week, but it's very addictive. I'm not getting the withdrawal effects, the headaches and stuff, because I do it in a smart way. I want my body to be very caffeine sensitive so that the next time I drink that big mug of coffee, I'm up, alert, and awake. Okay, so as now I'm doing a detox period. And that is how we use caffeine, that is how caffeine works, and that is how to quit a caffeine addiction. Stay tuned for more. Like, comment, subscribe. See you.